welcome to today's video. As you can see, today we are in the late spring garden over here at Thuja Hill. And I wanted to do this little video today to encourage homemakers that are also gardeners that might be experiencing some tough times right now. Right now for our family, we are in a season where we are definitely needing to scale back and live on less. And just like any other trial, there are hard parts of it, but with the worldview that God is in control and works everything out for the good of those that love Him, there's a side to scaling back and living on less and making do that's really actually been extremely helpful for me personally and for our whole family. And so how does this pertain to life in the garden? Well, let me tell you, when I considered this garden last fall, to be honest with you, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to be in here this spring because I thought I had cancer. And so the fact that I'm even able to be out here at all is such a wonderful gift. I'm so thankful to the Lord. I don't take it for granted at all. And so that's exciting. But it's a different year in that there is no garden budget. And so I've had to make do with what I have, which is a great thing, actually. If you are a homemaker and you have hit some tough times and you're trying to figure out how to make the best use of your garden, I hope you enjoy today's video. All right, well, for starters, I have traditionally grown things from seed for many years since I've even had a garden. That's the most economical way to grow your own food, is to start things from seed. But that takes some understanding of how and when to plant those seeds. There are some excellent gardeners that you can find on YouTube that can give you some insight into your particular region, when to start seeds, when to plant them in the ground. It makes a huge difference. I remember when I first started gardening many years ago, I just threw everything into one bed and I thought, well, let's just see what happens. And honestly, that is a good way to start, because if you start from fear, you'll never do anything. And so sometimes you have to make mistakes to learn how to do the right thing. But I will just tell you to save yourself time and money, to learn how to go ahead and plant your produce from seed, because it will save you money in the end. Something that has really come home to me this year is the importance of perennial plants. Now, when we first moved here, we planted a bunch of perennials around the house, like hydrangeas and roses, rosemary, lavender. Those plants were sort of the theme that I wanted around our house, to give it kind of a cottage look. And I love them because they come back every year. And that is no different with vegetables. There are many vegetables that are considered perennials. One of them I have just loved growing is the perennial onion. Have you heard of the perennial onion? I hadn't. Now, the one I got is called the Egyptian walking onion, and it is so neat. Actually, when I look at it, I think to myself, our Creator is so brilliant. The way this onion works is so typical of His character, because it grows, it flourishes, and then little bulbs are produced at the top, and they tip over and they replant themselves. It's like you can just keep getting more and more and more of these onions just by having them grow. It's so beautiful. It multiplies itself. It kind of reminds me of sourdough or like cultures for kefir. You can keep making the thing with what you already have, which is such a beautiful principle. It means you don't have to go out and buy more. And when you are making do, that is such a gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving, really. I love that these particular onions, you can actually take the little bulbs off the top and share them with your friends. And I also love that they plant themselves. So that has been a huge blessing in the garden this year. In fact, I'm debating on if I'll even plant regular onions next year. You can get a set of onion plants for a song at the hardware store. I think I got a set for $5. But really, what could be better than not spending anything to replenish your onion supply? That's where perennial onions have come in really handy for me this year. Another thing is asparagus. So I planted this asparagus last spring, so 1 year ago this month. And I'm not going to harvest anything until next year because it's supposed to have at least 2 years before being harvested. And I do desire for it to be prolific throughout the years. And I've heard asparagus beds can last 20, 30 years if you treat them right. And so this bed of asparagus behind me is wonderful because it's something that, God willing, will be here for a long time. And so again, the gift of perennials keeps on giving. It's so nice. Last year I planted different varieties of squash on my trellises here, and that was a huge mistake because they overtook the trellises. It was messy. We had a really wet and humid summer, and so they just didn't do well, and it was a burden. And so when I was planning out planting, I thought, how can I make the best use of this space with what I have? And it made me think to do blueberries and hops. And so on these 2 trellises, I have 3 trellises here. On 2 of them, I have blueberries, which are climbing up nicely and will hopefully do well over the trellis. And then I have hops in the middle, which love to grow and climb. And so it's, again, another way to utilize perennials and make a beautiful garden and bring yourself fruit with a plant that keeps on giving year after year. Herbs are also great. A lot of them will last a long time. Some of them can't be beat, like mint. Mint just grows and grows and grows. It dies back in the winter and then it grows abundantly in the spring and summer. Some herbs like basil and dill, parsley, cilantro, those need to be planted every year. But I have a designated herb bed that holds my oregano, my mint, my thyme, my sage, and those beautiful herbs are perennial and they come back year after year if they're treated correctly. So the thrust of this video today is that if you are a homemaker and you've hit tough times and you have a garden and you want to make it beautiful, if you're in tough times, don't do it right now, but eventually invest in some perennial plants or take some cuttings from a friend. For instance, I have all these beautiful perennial onion bulbs that I could share with a friend that needed them and they wouldn't need to have any money to get those. So that's all I have for you today, my friends. I hope that today was an encouraging and helpful video. These are things 7 years ago I would have loved to know better. You have to make mistakes in gardening to figure out what works for you as a unique gardener. We're all different. And what works for you, your region, might not work for me in my region and my soil. And so it's nice to learn from each other. And so I hope this video was helpful to you. I look forward very much to seeing you in another brand new video very soon. Goodbye for now.